Dude, someday I'm going to be right up in your face. What do you think? Especially you guys right there. So a few weeks ago, I shared with you that one of the things that I love the best about living in Canada now was the 4 seasons. Because I come from Southern California, and the seasons are dictated by just a couple of temperatures that go up or down. You know, that's all of it. So it's really an adventure for me to never be 100% sure what it's going to be like from day to day or even hour to hour. That's the truth. So trust me when I tell you that up until a couple of years ago, when I moved here, I never, in my wildest imagination, thought that I would be looking for my snow boots on Thanksgiving in October. October is one of the hottest months of the year in California. So that's my basis of comparison. But one of the other things that I love about living in Canada, and especially here in Calgary, is the fact that I get to celebrate Thanksgiving more than once. You know, I get to celebrate it twice a year, and for someone who truly believes that expressing gratitude is a sacred spiritual practice, this is the best of all worlds. Wouldn't you agree? Like 2 Thanksgivings, actually this weekend it's 3 Thanksgivings, then the one in November. The only thing that would make it even better is if we practiced gratitude all of the time, not just on government-sanctioned holidays. Can I get an amen to that? Amen. So of course, that's going to be our topic today, gratitude. Giving thanks for all things in all ways, all the time, even sometimes when it feels a little inconvenient or out of sync with what appears to be going on in the world around us. But before we get to that, I wanted to share with you a very special Thanksgiving poem. 'Twas the night of Thanksgiving, but I just couldn't sleep. I tried counting backwards, I tried counting sheep. The leftovers they beckoned, the dark meat and white. But I fought the temptation with all of my might. Tossing and turning with anticipation, the thought of a snack became infatuation. So I raced to the kitchen, flung open the door, and gazed at the fridge full of goodies galore. I gobbled up turkey and buttered potatoes, stuffing with gravy, green beans, and tomatoes. I felt myself swelling so plump and so round, till all of a sudden I rose off the ground. I crashed through the ceiling, floating into the sky, with a mouthful of pudding and a handful of pie. But I managed to yell as I soared past the trees, happy eating to all. Pass the cranberries, please. Right. So my talk today is actually, it's called In All Things, and it comes, of course, from the Christian Bible in Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians, in all things give thanks. In all things give thanks. It doesn't say in some things give thanks. It doesn't say in almost everything give thanks. Or pick and choose what you want to give thanks for. It says, in all things, give thanks. That means when it's good and it's not as good. When it's easy and it's not quite so easy. When you're in the flow and when you're out of the flow. In fact, my sister Beth, whom many of you know, she's kind of my muse. She had posted a story not too long ago on Facebook that really makes the point about being grateful for all things. This is what she wrote. I'm discovering more and more that life is a spiritual practice wherever you find it. Today, it was the practice to take all the water out of my frozen washing machine, first by a measuring cup, then by a turkey baster, dropful by dropful, so the repairman can get to whatever the problem is. She wrote, I found myself in a meditative state as I retrieved baster after baster of water to squirt in a bucket, to empty into the yard. Life is grand on all levels. Now think about what that story is. That she was able to take something that was a bummer, a frozen washing machine filled with water, and turn it into an opportunity to be grateful, an opportunity to be in spiritual practice. I also know my sister and know that she has shared that same metaphor in cleaning out the cat box, but I decided not to go there today. She does indeed practice what I preach. So the point of this, of course, is to take something that's mundane or frustrating or out of sync and choosing to see it as a means of expressing gratitude for life. In all things, give thanks. In all things. And so what that teaches us, of course, is that gratitude is a choice. Gratitude is a choice. We can choose to practice feeling sorry for ourselves, for being upset with the world for oh so many reasons, or we can choose to practice gratitude. And when we choose to practice gratitude, something very mystical happens. The very act of expressing and experiencing gratitude opens up the channels for more good to come in. Just think about that for a second. Feel grateful right now. And just feel yourself expanding. Feel the channels, your receptivity opening up even more and more to good. Ernest Holmes said something about that. He said, nothing can happen on the outside unless there is something corresponding to it on the inside of life. Everything comes to us through the law of attraction. We cannot draw anything to us until there is first an avenue for that thing through which the thing can flow toward us. Are you understanding what I'm talking about? That sense of gratitude opens up the channel, opens up that avenue. So if we're sitting around thinking about all the things that we don't have, and oh, poor me, and oh, I don't feel so good, and I didn't sleep well last night, and oh, I don't have a boyfriend, and oh, my house is kind of messy, and oh, my washing machine is, blah, 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 blah. What's happening there is that we are opening up the avenue to attract more of those things that we're complaining about. This is an inevitable law. So when we choose to practice gratitude instead of the oh, poor me, we are giving that exact same inevitable law a very clear signal and sign of what it is that we do want. Is this making sense? Making sense to me. When we consciously participate in co-creating what we want, we are telling the universe this, not this. And gratitude is that avenue. Because that law of attraction that we keep talking about is going to bring back into our experience the things that are a vibrational match for who we are and what we're thinking about. Dr. Christiane Northrup said this: feeling grateful or appreciative of someone or something in your life actually attracts more of the things that you appreciate and value into your life. Sit with that for a minute. Feeling grateful or appreciative for someone or something in your life actually attracts more of the things that you appreciate and value into your life. That simple act of feeling grateful draws it in. For instance, there's a funny little teaching story. It's one of my favorite ones to tell at Thanksgiving. It's about a successful businessman. No, not that one. A successful businessman. Can I do that? Okay, I'm sorry. There's a fun little teaching story I love to tell about Thanksgiving about a successful businessman here in Canada who was asking about his interviewing techniques. And he said that he once had a job applicant, and he asked that applicant one question. If you were given $1 million, what would be the first thing you would buy? And the applicant said, a thank you card. Needless to say, he got the job. So not only is this a cute story about gratitude, but it also reiterates what it is that I'm saying, that this energy of gratitude is causative, just like Kelly talked about in her reading. This energy of gratitude is causative. It causes things to happen, and it attracts to you more of its kind. That attitude of gratitude automatically draws in its like kind. So let me give you another example of this by taking a look at the holiday of Thanksgiving. Now, of course, I know the American version, right? American version is the Pilgrims came over from England on the Mayflower, and they landed on Plymouth Rock, and the first winter was really, really hard. A lot of them died, and it didn't go very well. The second harvest was really bountiful, and they had a huge feast celebrating the fact that they had survived the winter, okay? That's basically the story, right? The Canadian story is similar, but it involves different people. So instead of the Pilgrims, it involves, let me make sure here, the English explorer Martin Frobisher. Do you guys know this story? Some of you do, some of you don't. I found that very interesting. So Martin Frobisher was tasked with finding a passageway to the Orient over in the north, rather than going down the Cape down below. So, so he didn't find the passage, so that's not what we celebrate, because he didn't find the passage, but what he did was establish a settlement in northern America. Somebody told me yesterday it was in Nova Scotia. Help me out here. Anybody? Frobisher? Okay, anyway. But anyway, because he was so happy that they survived their journey that he had a party, right? And he celebrated this Thanksgiving thing. And then at the same time, French settlers had come across the ocean and had arrived in Canada with, help me out, Suzanne, Samuel de Champlain. Okay, did I say it correctly? That's not bad, hey? Okay, so, well, anyway, so they came and they survived, so they had a feast, right? Now, whether you are, so it's all about feasts. What can I say? It's all about having food. And you know what? Whether you're in the States or in Canada, the Thanksgiving meal is basically the same. It's turkey, it's potatoes, it's stuffing, it's pumpkin everything. And also, the practice of going around the table and expressing gratitude is basically the same. What differs, and this is what's interesting to me, is the time of the year that they're celebrated. Because in Canada, it's celebrated on the second Monday of October, and in the States it's celebrated on the fourth Thursday of November. And the reason for that is the harvest comes earlier in Canada than it does in the United States. That's the reason for it. Isn't that interesting? Yes? So the reason I gave you this little brief history is to make a point about gratitude being causative. I wasn't just telling you a history story. Because both countries, both Canada and the United States, are considered first world countries. In spite of occasional setbacks, they are two of the strongest, most prosperous, most successful countries in the world, and both have a nationally recognized day of Thanksgiving. Now, do you think that that's a coincidence? Or do you think that possibly the conscious practice of giving thanks has helped to build these great countries of ours? So, if that's true, and I believe it is, don't you also believe that the conscious practice of giving thanks can help to preserve and continue the greatness of these countries? You understand what I'm saying here? Even more to the point, can expressing gratitude reverse these recent challenges that we find ourselves in? It can if we believe it can, because everything is about belief. Ernest Holmes said this: there is something which honors your belief, not in a big way in one place and in a little way in the other. Rather, it honors your belief as you believe it. So, if we believe that the good times are coming to an end, and the world is going to hell in a handbasket, and we choose to focus on what is wrong, that is what we will continue to manifest, and it will grow exponentially, both personally and as a nation and as a world, because it comes from our beliefs, that law of attraction again. However, if we choose to practice gratitude on a regular basis, not just once or twice a year, but on a regular basis, we provide a receptive channel, an open space for the universe to work. Henry Ward Beecher wrote this: the unthankful heart discovers no mercies, but let the thankful heart sweep through the day, and as a magnet finds the iron, so it will find in every hour some heavenly blessing. Everybody take in a breath. So you might be thinking to yourself, especially if you're new here and you're not used to this teaching and this way of life, you may be thinking, is she saying that my grateful thoughts are going to make a difference in today's economy? Does that mean that I'm going to have an influence over the price of real estate? And, I can understand if you're not familiar with our teaching why you might think that. I mean, watching the news can freak you out a little bit, right? But what I believe in my heart of hearts is that each of us is part of the collective. Each of us is part of the one mind, part of the all and everything. And I believe that who we are and what we do and what we think about does make a difference. Not only in our own personal lives, but it adds to the consciousness of the world. So will our positive and grateful thoughts turn things around? They will certainly make a difference in our own lives. So it stands to reason that our positive and grateful thoughts, combined with the positive and grateful thoughts of everyone here, and of everyone in Calgary, and in everyone in Alberta, and Canada, and North America, I believe that can make a difference in the collective consciousness of the world. I believe that is going to make a difference in shifting things around so that we are continuing on a positive trajectory versus a negative trajectory. Yes? Can I get an amen to that? So we're going to do something kind of different today. That's why I asked our musicians to hang around. So Mark and Luis and Oliver and Amy, if you'll make your way up. We're going to practice by adding our Thanksgiving vibration to the collective. Okay? Are you guys excited? Thank you! There is a song that's very popular in New Thought Centers, and I know you all know it because we used to sing it. Not only is it a beautiful song, but by singing it, everyone becomes engaged in a very powerful spiritual practice. Because when we sing this song, and you're going to know it here in just a minute, what we are affirming to ourselves and to the universe is that we recognize our good and that we praise it. So we're going to sing this through a couple of different times. And I'm going to ask you to have in mind certain things as we go through this. I would like you to imagine that the energy of this song and the intent and the motivation behind this song begins to reach out beyond these walls and adds to and contributes to the positive and thankful vibration of everyone, everywhere. And that song, of course, is I Am So Blessed. And so this first round, I'm going to ask you to just think about I am so blessed in your own personal life as we go into Thanksgiving, okay? So let's just sing that first verse, shall we?
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so
Now send it beyond the walls.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so
Now send it to all of Alberta.
so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all I am. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so
Now all of Canada.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful.
As a favor to me, to the United States,
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I
would you stand
am
up,
so
please, for the world?
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am
And one more time for yourself.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
In all things, give thanks. And so it is. Thank you all so much.